On the old Gulch road, the air hangs heavy, thick with the smell of damp earth and a faint, unsettling trace of iron. It's a place the locals have always avoided after dark, a place wrapped in a quiet dread that no one can quite put into words. Our story, however, doesn't begin with a ghost. It begins with the living, with those left behind to listen to the silence. Alara was a force of nature, a vibrant woman working 2 jobs to keep her small family going. Her world was her 5-year-old daughter Leora, who had her mother's bright, defiant eyes, and her aging mother, Grana Kalen, a woman whose hands were as gnarled and wise as ancient tree roots. One night, Alara was hurrying home from her late shift at the local diner. She never made it. Back home, Grana Kalen sat by the window, watching the clock hands creep past midnight. Each tick was a hollow drumbeat against the frantic rhythm of her own heart. She stroked the hair of her sleeping granddaughter. "Leora, my sweet," she whispered, her voice a fragile thread. "Mama is just running late." But Leora stirred, her little face already crumpled with a child's profound intuition for loss. "Mama promised me a flower, Grana," she mumbled, sleep-heavy but certain. "She always comes home." The next morning, the police were called. A young officer, Constable Torven, took the report with a weary, practiced air that offered no comfort, no forced entry, no signs of a struggle inside Grana Kalen, he noted, his pen hovering over a fresh page. Was there anyone who might hold a grudge against Alara? Grana Kellen's eyes were cloudy with unshed tears. Alara was good, Constable maybe too good for this world. But there was Jareth. He was a foreman at the plant she left. He was obsessed with her. Jareth was questioned, of course, but released just as quickly. There was no evidence, nothing to hold him on. The case went cold, leaving behind only the chilling, gaping hole where Alara used to be. But Grana Kalen knew. In the deepest parts of her soul, she knew her daughter wasn't just missing. She was gone forever. The truth was more horrific than anyone dared to imagine. Alara's murderer was indeed Jareth. His wounded pride had twisted into a monstrous, possessive rage. He had ambushed her near the old Gulch road, right beside a massive, new concrete storm drainer cold, gaping more in the earth. In a frenzy of brutal efficiency, he forced her body into that narrow, dark pipe. He then dragged a heavy, circular manhole cover over the opening, securing it with a rusty length of chain he'd found nearby. Alara's final resting place was a watery, subterranean coffin just feet from the road she walked every night. Her body was trapped, but her spirit refused to be silenced. About 3 months after Alara vanished, the legends began. To traveling merchants Darian and Silkar, known for their sharp wit and skepticism, were guiding their wagon down the old Gulch road late one evening. "They say a phantom asks for her child near here," Darian Silker teased, adjusting their lantern. "You're not afraid of a little wailing woman, are you?" Darian scoffed. "Nonsense, Silker. Just local law to keep kids out of the woods." Suddenly, their horse Morthos stopped dead, snorting in terror. A dense, chilling fog, smelling faintly of sewage and rain, rolled in from the side of the road, swallowing the clear night. And then they saw her standing in the middle of the road, illuminated by their single lantern, was a woman. Her dress was soaked, clinging to her thin frame, her dark hair plastered to her face. But it was her eyes that froze their blood. They were wide, black voids of bottomless grief. She took a slow, deliberate step toward them, her bare feet making no sound on the stones. Her voice, a wet, rasping sound that seemed to claw its way up from the storm drain beside the road, cut through the silence. Where is my little one? Have you seen my Leora? Tell me. Darian's bravado vanished, replaced by a raw, primal terror. He fumbled for the whip as Silka let out a high, thin scream that pierced the fog. The figure lunged, her hands outstretched, skeletal and caked in mud. Darian cracked the whip, shouting at Morthos, who bolted forward in a gallop. As they sped away, a sound echoed behind them, a sound that would haunt their nightmares for years to come. A gut-wrenching, sorrowful weep, followed by the metallic clatter of a heavy cover being dragged and dropped. "It's the drain," Darian gasped, not daring to look back. She came from the drain. News of the phantom on the old Gulch road spread like wildfire. While the town whispered of a mad ghost, Grana Kalen felt a crushing certainty. It was her Elara, trapped, desperate. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in an ominous red, the old woman made her way to the road. She carried a small satchel. "Elara, Grana," Kalen whispered, her voice surprisingly steady as she stood before the manhole cover. "My fierce, lost girl. It is your mother. I know you are here." She opened the satchel and took out a small, brightly colored flower, the kind Elara had promised Leora. She placed it carefully on the edge of the metal cover. "Your Leora is safe. She is with me. She misses you terribly. She asks for you every hour." A single tear finally cut a path through the dust on her cheek. "But you cannot come home, my darling, and you must not harm the innocents you meet. Your little one needs to remember your love, not this terror you've become." She waited, shivering in the cold air, but the weeping drain remained silent. In that moment, Grana Kalen felt a profound despair, realizing that her daughter's pain was so absolute, not even a mother's love could reach it. The next week, two young adventurers, Orin and his cousin Zelia, camped near the road, determined to capture proof of the weeping drain ghost. "Listen, Zelia, it's just swamp gas and refracted light," Orin insisted, setting up his camera, "but the story will make us famous." Around 2 a.m., the temperature plummeted. The sickly, metallic fog began to swirl around the base of the massive concrete pipe. Then a voice called out from the road. It wasn't a roar, but a plea laced with pure, agonizing hysteria. "No, please, I need to feed her. Where did they take her, my Leora?" The translucent figure of Elara shimmered into view, water streaming from her ruined dress. Zelia dropped the camera, shaking uncontrollably. "Orin, we have to go." That, that's not a sound a living person can make. Orin, though terrified, gripped a small iron crucifix he wore. "Who are you? What do you want?" he shouted. The ghost turned its terrifying empty gaze on them, and they felt a physical pressure, a weight of sorrow so heavy it felt like it would crush their lungs. "I want my child. Tell me where the old woman hid her." "Did you take my lit?" Suddenly, her rage faltered. The ghost's black eyes focused on Orin's crucifix. She didn't recoil in fear, but seemed to remember something, a tiny spark of her former self piercing the despair. Her hands, which had been raised to seize him, slowly dropped. "He forced me down into the cold." The words came out in a wet, rattling cough. "Truth," he said, "I'd never see her face again." The ghost faded instantly, collapsing into a shimmering puddle that flowed back toward the manhole cover, which rattled violently as she retreated. Orin and Zelia fled, leaving everything behind. They had seen more than a ghost. They had witnessed the last devastating moments of a tortured spirit. The story spread, but this time the fear was mixed with a new, tragic understanding. Travelers began to leave small toys and offerings of food near the storm drain, not to appease an evil spirit, but to acknowledge the unending suffering of a mother. Grana Kalen knew what she had to do. As long as she and Leora stayed nearby, Elara's spirit would be tethered to that spot, chained by her fierce maternal instinct. They moved hundreds of miles away to start a new, quiet life. Grana Kalen never told Leroux the full, horrific truth, only that her mother had gone on a long, essential journey. Years later, after Grana Kalen had passed away, a young woman named Leora was sorting through her grandmother's things. She found a small faded photograph of her mother, Elara, smiling brightly, clutching a colorful flower. On the back, Grana Kalen had written a single, cryptic sentence: "She is safe, my darling. The storm drain remembers only your love." The weeping drain ghost still haunts the old Gulch road. On nights of heavy rain, travelers report hearing a sorrowful, wet sound coming from beneath the manhole cover. They say the most terrifying thing isn't the sight of the ghost, but the knowledge that she is a mother, eternally searching, her final frantic plea echoing forever in the cold, dark earth. Where is my Leora? Thanks for watching. If this story sent a chill down your spine, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more tales from the shadows. Stay safe out there.